I want to make the argument that it is not life in of itself that we value, but it is the human experience that we value.
No, I don't agree there.
Okay. Should we have are you familiar with the Terry Schiavo case?
Very.
Should we have let her basically be unplugged?
Well, it's a question of we. Who is we? The government, society, or the family that made the ultimate decision?
It can be any.
Well, no, it actually matters. So which we are we talking about? The doctors, the medical professionals, the county, the state of Florida, right? I mean, there's like 9 different layers involved in this. But so let me just educate the audience. The Terry Schiavo case is the most high-profile, quote-unquote, brain-dead case of this modern era. Beautiful young woman goes into basically a coma, and what ensued was a series of lawsuits where some people in the family wanted to keep her on life support, and some people wanted to basically pull the plug. The government intervened. However, someone who is quote-unquote brain dead is actually far more alive than you might realize. Did you know that someone that is brain dead, a woman for example, she still goes through her menstrual cycle? So if a woman is brain dead, how is she still menstruating and ovulating? Maybe we are more than just our brain activity. Maybe there's a lot that happens in our being beyond just what we can detect on a SPECT scan. Secondly, a brain dead person, because I understand where you're going towards this.
Sure.
A brain dead individual, quote unquote brain dead, there have been instances, albeit very rare, where people that have no detectable brain activity actually come out of that and they have full consciousness. Very, very rare, but those are documented cases. Did you know that someone that is brain dead, if you happen to, let's just say, put a knife in their knee, their norepinephrine and their adrenaline increases, even though they are brain dead, their immediate adrenaline response goes up. And so what you consider as brain dead, they're actually very much alive. Let me make one final point. To the menstruation part, a brain dead woman can get pregnant and deliver a child. She's not dead. It's just that her brain waves have decreased significantly.
May I respond?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. So there was a lot to unpack there, and because there's so much, and we only have so much time, I'm going to address the first thing that you said between who is we, and to that I would probably, I'm not going to make a hard standing on this, but at least at a first thought, I would argue that it is between the loved ones of Terry Schiavo and the doctors who are taking care of her. I think that's a question that's between the person who is injured, the people taking care of them, and the doctors.
So let's fast forward this to abortion, and I can kind of cut to the essence of it. When does life begin?
Conception.
Oh, it does begin at conception.
I agree.
Okay. So
Yes.
then should every life be protected post-conception?
I believe that every conscious experience that the human body has should be protected. Not necessarily life in of itself, as I personally and as many people in the audience would agree. If I became brain dead, if I or you became brain dead, and there was no chance of you ever waking up, you probably would want them to pull the plug. And if you disagree, that's okay. But, I don't think that's the case.
Hold on, but a 4-week-old baby left uninterrupted and properly nourished does wake up and have full consciousness and brain waves.
Correct.
So it's a completely different thing. You're talking about someone that has very little likelihood of brain activity reemerging versus a unborn baby in utero who inevitably will almost certainly have brain activity. So interrupting one actually prevents the development of consciousness, where interrupting the other actually does not.
May I respond? The issue I have with this is the conscious experience hasn't begun yet. For example, let's say this person right here to my left, if I punch him really hard, there is a person who we give moral consideration to that I have enacted violence upon. And we can make a objective statement on that, or he obviously has a conscience, we can agree on that. We can make an objective statement that I have violated what he wants. But the thing is, a fetus prior to approximately 20 weeks, or at least that's what I've read, does not have a conscious experience. Therefore, it cannot care
Brain
about what
waves
happens.
start a lot earlier than that. They start around 8 to 10 weeks. But brain waves and consciousness are not necessarily the same thing, right?
Correct.
So this is where we differ.
Yes.
We believe that the human experience is more than just brain waves. And I've proven it to you that your body still continues to function even though your brain is brain dead, menstruate, adrenaline spike, so on and so forth. There is evidence to show that there's a lot more going on here than just the material between both of your ears. I suppose the question that I would ask, though, is do we have a moral right to protect humans along the stage of development, regardless of whether or not they can feel or sense experience at that period of time?
Do you mind if I rewind back to Terry Schiavo? Because I don't think you gave an objective answer to this. Should we have unplugged Terry Schiavo, who would have never waken up?
That wasn't my family member. It's a very difficult...
Let's say you were.
The answer is I don't know.
If you had to guess, or let's say you do have a family member, and it does happen.
The answer,
we can do it.
It depends on the patient's wishes, first and foremost.
Let's say you don't know.
Yeah, again, it's a very subjective thing. I tend to go towards life. I tend towards the continuation of life.
Okay, so then you, let's say you have a very close relative, and that person would not ever wake up from a persistent vegetative state. Then you would not allow that person, effectively like euthanasia. So yes.
It's too much of a hypothetical. I don't know because it depends on circumstances. There's a lot of difficulties and complexities. It depends on their age, depends on their case history. It depends on whether or not they're responding to people's voices. All sorts of different things. Sure. However, you are conflating two separate things. You're talking about one that is highly likely to stay in a vegetative state versus a being that is
Can the crowd be quiet, please? I'm trying to listen.
Is alongside a process of human development.
Can y'all be quiet, please?
So again, we have a fundamental difference of what we believe a human being is. We believe a human being is far more than just consciousness and reason. And we know this. I mean, this is objectively a proven fact. You are more than your five senses. Would you agree with that?
I don't know how to answer that.
So I want you to think for a second. Are you only five senses?
The best I can answer is and this is going to be very vague, but because that's a very hard question to ask, I am essentially me. The five senses are a incorporate part of me, but I don't think that necessarily pertains to my
No, it does.
Personally.
Well, it does because basically consciousness is exhibited in five senses, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. It is. So, but the point being is, which one of your five senses tells you there's only five? There's something above just your five senses that transcend it.
This sounds kind of like a non-secular argument when you make this like ascension like thing, and we have to keep.
No, I mean you can be a secularist and still believe in a soul. You can believe an idea that there is a being within you that is above reason. So anyway, we're just going to disagree. Let me ask you just one final question.
Wait, because I'm approaching you, can I ask?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it has been a little. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Given you a fair amount.
The thing, the ultimate crux of my argument is that because there is no sentience, right? In the same way, like if I were to punch a person, there's a person with a clear consciousness that I am enacting violence upon, and this is a bad thing. But because there was never consciousness to ever experience, I don't understand how we can have harm or suffering in that moral system, since nothing was ever negatively acted upon.
Great question. Yeah. If I go under general anesthesia, do you have a right to kill me?
You already agreed with me that we need to value the rights of people who are unconscious. You already agreed.
No, I know, but if I'm under general anesthesia.
Yes, and you're unconscious.
Okay, but explain to me the difference between unconsciousness and then the Terry Schiavo case, because people come out of brain dead all the time.
You just said it was extremely rare, and also we have very great methods of determining whether someone's going to be in a persistent vegetative state. So we do have the tools to be able to tell when a person is going to come back.
I keep going back to this, but is a 6-week-old baby going to stay in a persistent vegetative state?
No, but it doesn't have an experience to begin with, and therefore, why is it granted moral consideration?
Got it. Because we believe that all human life is equal, regardless of its size, level of development, environment, or its degree of dependency.
But then people who say that they would pull the plug on Terry Schiavo are now violating that principle, no?
Not necessarily. Again, the Schiavo case has a lot more complexities. And again, to conflate a brain-dead individual with a fetus that is struggling to develop and alive, or a baby, they're two completely different things.
No, yeah, you're right, and that's why
one has an entire life ahead of it.
So no.
Does not.
So I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. The thing with Terry Schiavo is that she would never have a human experience whatsoever ever again.
I do want to get to the next question, but let me just ask one final thing. Would you like to see less abortions in America?
It depends on the context.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as no moral harm is done to a person that we give moral consideration.
Are you glad you were not aborted?
If I was aborted, I wouldn't care. Because you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't care, and that's a fact.
Okay. We have a big difference of opinion. The final thing I'll say is this: we believe that life is a gift and an amazing thing, and to deprive another being of life is you then using basically your incumbent power structure to interrupt somebody else from being able to flourish and prosper, which we consider to be the apex of immorality. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all.
Thank you.